there's two. I suppose this afternoon, because I would have done some more.
Ginger, good afternoon. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. I am going to share my screen here so that you also can see what I'm doing. Are we waiting for anybody? Oh, go ahead.
To give you an idea of who's in attendance, we've got 4 town council members and then our town administrator, Mark, who you just heard from, and then we've got 2 department heads, Greg, who's our head of our water group, and Tom, who's head of our streets.
Perfect. It's kind of nice to have everyone hear the same thing at the same time. So I appreciate you putting this together. Today, I'm going to kind of go through, who Sourcewell is and our process, and then how you can get a quote and make a purchase. So feel free to stop me at any time and ask questions and, anything that you have or you're thinking at the time. So a little bit about Sourcewell. This is actually our website.
Everybody, just before you get started, just housekeeping. When you're going to start, bring your mask down.
Okay. Well, I have a question just for our record keeping. Can we get a written copy of what I present today?
I have some information, I guess, that I could share with you. It wouldn't be like word for word, but if you have the ability to record this, that would be fine with me.
Perfect. But if we could have whatever you have written, that would be great too, for the record.
Yep, I can send you all the documentation that I'll talk about today.
You can send it to Mark, because you probably don't have my email. Either one will work.
That sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So Sourcewell is actually a government agency, and I'm a government employee. And we were formed by Minnesota state statute to do a lot of different things, but one of those things is cooperative purchasing, and it's what we're most known for outside of the state of Minnesota. Most states they're all called something different, but they're joint powers laws, which basically means what one government can do for itself, one can do for another. Which basically means you can put out a bid or RFP for whatever it is you're purchasing, and you could have wording in it that allows piggybacking by other agencies. I can send you those statutes as well after this that we feel we fall under. You, of course, have to look in your own internal policies as well, because I'm not privy to those to see what it says on how you can access cooperative purchasing or how you would work that into your system. But what happens is Sourcewell has a publicly elected board. They consist of mayors, city council members, and school board members in our 5-county region in Minnesota. And they approve us to go out to bid for everything from office supplies to heavy construction equipment and everything in between. Once they've approved that, our procurement team drafts a request for proposal. They publicly advertise it, they hold a public opening, and then they read and evaluate those responses and recommend some of them for award. So I say some of them because we typically multiple award because we have so many agencies we have to serve with our contracts. But it also doesn't mean that every vendor who responds gets awarded, because it is, again, a competitive process just like you do. And so once those vendors are available, all of our participating agencies can use those contracts. And participating agencies are public and private K-12, public and private higher ed, all forms of local government, state agencies, and nonprofits in all 50 states and Canada as well. So we have about 50,000 agency using our contracts at any given time. Of course, that number increases frequently as well. And we have about 450 contracts currently in our system to be used. And our procurement team is very busy as well, putting out new contracts or resoliciting our old contracts. We do have 4-year contracts, and so we are resoliciting those contracts all the time as well. So a couple of ways that you can make a purchase or get a quote. Oftentimes people hear about Sourcewell from a vendor. That vendor might have seen in your budget that you're purchasing, whatever it is, a loader, a grader, office supplies, something like that. And they come into your office and they say, look, I have this fancy new thing that I need to tell you about because I saw it in your budget. And you say, no, we have to do a competitive bid. And they say, actually, we have Sourcewell. So that is oftentimes how people come to us. And then they get a quote from that vendor. On the quote, we do suggest you put the Sourcewell contract number and your Sourcewell number on it for auditing purposes, and to let that vendor know, yes, we are using Sourcewell, please give us the correct pricing. You would get that quote from that vendor. You don't have to write specifications. You can purely just tell the vendor what you're looking for, what you want it to accomplish, whatever it is, instead of writing those specifications. And then they give you that quote, and you could always send it to us and say, I just want to make sure this is pursuant to the contract, or you can go ahead and do a purchase order with that vendor. So let's say you have additional terms and conditions that are required, by statute that you have when you make a purchase. You can actually add that at the purchase order level. One example is always, the state of California has a lot of chemicals that aren't allowed in their products that are sold in California. And so oftentimes they put that at the PO level just of hey, you can't have these chemicals in any of the products that we're purchasing, and that vendor signs off on that. So if your organization has something like that, you can also add that at the purchase order level, and that is included in our RFP as allowable. So that's one way to make a purchase. You pay the vendor directly. You get to use that local dealer who you know, and it supports the local economy, but it is nationally competitive pricing through our contract. Another option is if you don't know who your local dealer is, or maybe you don't want to talk to them yet, you can always go to our website and you can do some searching on it for your product or your manufacturer. And that's why I have this brought up today, so you can kind of see it real time, where to go, how to find that information. So if you were to go here and search, you would search our whole website, and we do a lot of different things. And so if you were to search like Staples for office supplies, Sourcewell is actually located in Staples, Minnesota. They're not associated with each other, but that is where we're located. So this is just a lot more to muddle through. But if you just want to go to our contracts, you would go over to cooperative purchasing and click on it and drop down to vendors and contracts. And this is our list of all of our contracts. So you can scroll through it. You will see vendors you are aware of, or maybe you currently have contracts with or purchased from. So know that that's always an option for you. But if you want to search, which of course makes it a little faster for you, I just suggest going over to this box. A couple of things about our search function: it's not as intuitive as Google, so it won't guess what they think you mean when you search something. And trust me, I've gotten that wrong too, where I've typed in something too specific or not clear enough, and I've gotten no results when I know we have a contract for it. So if you type in a dealer, it won't come up with anything. So if you want to type, or if you want to get a quote from a dealer, but then check on our website, search by manufacturer, or search by a generic product. But also know, if you do search something and you get no results found, please contact me. I have worked here for about 13 years, and so I do have a little capability on the back end, or just remember stuff because I do help agencies find things every day. So know that you can always reach out and ask me if we do have it on contract. You'll see some of the things in this list here that I've most recently searched for people. We do have a lot of public safety contracts, from fire trucks to radios that police and fire use. So know that if that is something that is also, you know, in the town and that you purchase. You know, UPS is a service provider, so we do offer some services. And then vehicles, which is our #1 use contract in local government space, or, you know, manufacturer or generic product, or like generator or mower or desk or something like that is also an option. So is there something you want me to look up real time, or just as an example?
I was kind of messing with this, and I was looking to find the Ford dealership, you know, and like she said, that if you type in Ford, you know, then I think it comes up with a list of Sourcewell.
She probably can't, she probably need to go here and turn on.
You may have to go up here.
I don't think she can hear you.
Yeah.
The mic's on, Tom, just got talking to her.
Yeah, I don't know, I think that, I was looking on this already before doing some research to see what was on there, what's available and everything else. And I was just telling everybody that I was looking for, Ford trucks. And I think it also lists the dealerships that are members of Sourcewell.
So, I tell you all of these things about a manufacturer, and then I'm going to kind of go back on that because our vehicle contract is different than our other contracts. So most of the time we award at the manufacturer level, which would then be Ford in this case. We couldn't get Ford, Chevy, any of the manufacturers of vehicles to respond to our contracts. That's not just us. That's all cooperatives could not get the manufacturers to actually respond for vehicles. So what we have for vehicles is called National Auto Fleet Group, and they're actually a group of dealers. And so what they do is you can order a vehicle with them. They do a mass ordering, and then you get a better deal because of that, and then they deliver it. So if you've tried to get a quote for vehicles lately, it is about 30 weeks from order date, and that is no exception with Sourcewell either. What you're saving with Sourcewell is all that time that it takes to get approval, to draft your own bidder RFP, to open it, to evaluate it, and then to finally be able to award it. And then, of course, that competitive pricing. And most people have found that our contract is cheaper than going out and purchasing it yourself. Again, you can always go get those quotes too. But so that's kind of, you know, the benefit of using Sourcewell. So now we do have Ford for auto parts, but for actual vehicles is National Auto Fleet Group here. So I'm going to go into their page and show you, you know, all of the documentation that we have on our website. That is, again, public information available for you. Remember, I have not logged in at all on our website. So all of you can see this. A regular everyday person can see this. You know, all of that. So please remember that it is public information because we're government. It needs to be that way. So this is what we call our vendor landing page. And they all look the same. So once you get familiar with one, you're going to see that over and over again. So this is the, again, group of dealers that have responded to this contract. They have made themselves, or they've called themselves National Auto Fleet Group, and they have been awarded, this is their second, I believe, award with us. And then this is the short RFP title that they were awarded under. And then this is the contract number. And so we do suggest, again, that you put this contract number and your Sourcewell number on your purchase order, again, for the auditor, frankly, and then also to tell National Auto Fleet Group, hey, give us Sourcewell pricing rather than your regular everyday person pricing or your generic government pricing that all vendors seem to have. We do have 4-year contracts. It does seem to work out best for our participating agencies. So this one you can use until 2025. And we will resolicit this category, just no guarantee that National Auto Fleet Group will be reawarded at that point because, again, it is a competitive process, just like what you do. Here is what they offer under their contract. They do offer all of the major players in the vehicle space. They have electric, they have chassis, everything like that you can order. And then here, on some of our pages, there's a dealer locator. So you could put in, your zip code and find the dealer locator or dealer closest to you. For National Auto Fleet Group, if I go in here, you actually build your vehicle. If you've ever went on just Ford, Chevy, et cetera's website, you can build your vehicle and get that price quote. And this is really what you're doing on their website as well. They will ask for your Sourcewell number and they will email you that quote, but you actually build it. So let's say you wanted a 2-wheel drive truck, that adds $0. But if you wanted a 4-wheel drive truck, now that's going to add, I don't remember how much it was. Let's say $2,000 or something. And so you can actually kind of see that some of those numbers depending on the additions or subtractions you make to your vehicle. So what National Auto Fleet Group does is they'll give you that quote, and that quote is good for a determined amount of time, and they'll tell you when you can order. So they try to bulk order it to save you more money, and then they'll give you an estimated delivery time. So, know that this website right here is not Sourcewell's website. This is National Auto Fleet Group's, but they also have a chat function and a 1-800 number, so you can kind of build your vehicle. Some of those newer vehicles, the new years, aren't quite built on their website yet, so you can call them and find out when that's available or if you can order it before that date. So know that. And remember, you can go through this and get a quote. You can always say no. So you get that quote and you're like, you know what, I'm not ready to do Sourcewell, or I think we're going to get it better by doing our own bid or RFP. You always have that option. So until you do that purchase order, you can always say, no, we're going to go another way. Or you want to use a state contract if there is one for vehicles. So please remember that. We hope you'll find value in our contracts, but it is not always going to be the answer for you. We are definitely not taking away your procurement process. It's just kind of a tool in your toolkit as an option for those times that it makes sense. So if a purchase is political in nature and you want everybody to be able to watch that process step by step, then maybe Sourcewell isn't right for you. But let's say you need something, it's end of budget cycle and you need it now and you don't have time to go through your process, or it just saves you money, you're still getting what you want, then it does make more sense to do this. Or for example, let's say the people in your department, they love Caterpillar. You have extra Caterpillar parts on your shelf, you know how to run it, you know how to do simple fixes, and everybody loves that quality that Caterpillar provides. It probably makes more sense to get another Caterpillar piece of equipment rather than some other no-name piece of equipment that now you have to train your staff and you have to buy extra parts and it might not last as long. And so you really have to, and when I say you, I mean the town really has to decide when it makes sense to use Sourcewell or to go out to bid yourself and just kind of balance those decisions. So that is, how you kind of get that quote for National Auto Fleet Group. It is still about 30 weeks out from order date to get a vehicle. But again, you're saving all of that time of doing your own proposal and likely a better price as well. And back to our website. On the left here are different places to go. One of them is contract documents. So this is the competitive process. This is our RFP. This is our affidavit advertising. This is our proposal opening. And this is all of the reasons why we awarded them over all of the other vendors. And so a lot of people I talk to say we always get the same 2 vendors to respond. It's always the same 2, if you can get any at all, which is also another complaint. But Sourcewell doesn't have that problem. I don't remember the last time we had under 5 people respond to a proposal. So please keep that in mind too. It's very, very competitive. If you look at this comment and review document, I'm just going to open this here. It is what I like to say is our overarching competitive process document. It talks about where we advertised, when we advertised, and what we advertised. And then it actually talks here, I don't want to scroll too fast, but this next block here is all the vendors who requested our RFP. And so you can see that it is a lot of vendors. And so all of that list, the double or 2-column list, is who actually requested this particular RFP. And then it goes into who actually responded, which is this list right here, which is, again, quite significant. Obviously, it depends on the category. A lot of times we have more than this. So think about that as well. And then, of course, who actually evaluated it, and then why we awarded who we did. In this case, we did only award National Auto Fleet Group because a lot of those people who requested it are dealers. And again, we work in all 50 states and Canada. So Canada can't really use this contract because of the different laws. But so you can kind of see on all of them, they'll have this document, and it really does show how competitive it is and how it's another additional step away from your organization and any conflict of interest. And then over here.
Jim,
go ahead.
question for you. When you're done with this presentation that you're on now, could you walk me through, if we were looking for a 60-inch zero-turn tractor, what paperwork would we fill out? What would we have to submit to get our request for proposal out there and stuff like that?
So our requests for proposals are already done. So we have contracts for tractors. One of them, I'm just going to throw out John Deere. So you could actually walk into your local John Deere dealer and ask for a zero-turn tractor price quote on Sourcewell. And you can do it that way. All of the documents, the competitive process is on our website, but you can walk in there and get a quote, which is really nice, right? You know those people and you work with them and they're part of the town. Likely they live there. And so you can support that local economy, but still use our pricing. So I will look up tractors in just a minute, but you'll see there are other options as well. So I'm not telling you to pick John Deere, but there are other options, so I'll walk through that. So there's contract documents, and then, of course, pricing. In this case, this pricing is just going to be a percentage off of list. Because there's so many details for a vehicle, it makes more sense for you to get the quote from National Auto Fleet Group and then email it to us and say, I just want to make sure this is pursuant to the contract. So in most cases, it makes more sense for you to get your quote and us to verify it rather than send you the pricing. Now, in some cases, again, it's public information, we're government, so please know that if you really want it, we will get it to you. It's just sometimes very, very difficult to do that because firewalls on emails will never allow most of it through. So let's say you wanted pricing on that zero-turn tractor. If you tell us that model number, we can certainly send you that pricing. But Sourcewell does tell our vendors that they are to give us not to exceed pricing when they respond. So the pricing they give us is the highest price that you can be charged. But if that local dealer says, I'm going to give up my profit because I really want your business, I'm going to lower the cost by 5%, they can do that. And that gives some of the dealers a little bit more leeway to make, take away from their own profit, frankly. So please know that as well. So again, you can always get that quote, send it to me. I will make sure that it is pursuant to the contract. And then contact information. I am the town's Sourcewell contact, but I do like to mention this in case. Let's say, you wanted to talk to National Auto Fleet Group or John Deere or Caterpillar or some of the other vendors I've mentioned. There's always 1 or 2 contacts listed on this page that are vendor employees. If you want to call them and say, I don't know where my local dealer is, can you have someone come out and meet with me because I would like to get a quote? they will do that. And then the bottom two people are Sourcewell employees. They are the contract managers for this particular contract. I only say that because I just, trying to be transparent, but again, you can always send it to me. I will get it to where it needs to go. So that is for our vehicles. Again, this is, I believe it's our #1 used contract. If it's not, it is top 3 in the local government space. Everyone seems to really enjoy it and like it and find value in it. And especially now, I talk about this contract at least once a day because of just the vehicle space right now and how crazy it really is. So if we go back out to, this cooperative purchasing vendors and contracts page, and I search for tractor. Now, if I were to search zero-turn tractor, I likely would get no results because that's a little too specific. But no, again, I don't want to scroll too fast here, that if I typed in tractor, and this seems to be an ag type of tractor, you could contact any or all of these vendors. If you don't care who the manufacturer is, you are welcome to do that. If the town says, you know what, we like using Sourcewell, but we're still going to get 3 quotes, then you can contact 3 of them. That is going to be up to you and what makes sense to you as an organization. And sometimes maybe you want 3 quotes, and sometimes maybe it won't matter to you and you'll want to go to someone specifically. So Case, of course, has tractors, John Deere that I mentioned. I mean, these are all those big players because it seems like if you like one color, you like one color. And so some people or organizations want their fleet to match. And so that is why we have multiple awards in this. But again, you can go to your local Case dealer, you can go to your John Deere dealer or New Holland, etc. And you can ask them for a Sourcewell price quote. It's already in their system, so when they give you a quote, they just have to usually click Sourcewell and they can get that out for you fairly quickly. So you don't have to write those specifications. You can just walk in there and say, this is what I need, a zero-turn tractor, this is how much how large the mower deck needs to be, this is the size, do I want additional attachments, etc. Instead of writing those specifications, because specifications oftentimes can be wrong or incorrect or missing some items. And so this way you get to talk to the experts of their product and they give that to you. Now, let's say you like Sourcewell and you want to use Sourcewell, but you're also, of course, okay with a state contract or maybe some other cooperative. You can ask the vendor, hey, these are the ones I'm okay with. Which one is going to be the cheapest price or best value for what I'm getting? So don't feel like you have to always go in there and say, I want to use Sourcewell. You can ask and say, which one's going to give me the best deal for the ones or the organizations you're okay with. I always mention state contracts because, again, we're very similar to a state contract and most people are okay with using state contracts, of course. So that's kind of, your organization has to decide, how do you want to proceed? It likely isn't in a procurement manual anywhere. And so you'll have to decide how you want to make these purchases. I have agencies that, will purchase us for under threshold, so they don't even get any quotes. And then over threshold, they might get 3 quotes. Or they purely decide when it makes sense to use Sourcewell and when it makes sense to go out and bid themselves. We don't have everything that you purchase, but if you look around, we're going to have most of the things around you and most of the things that you use, from, again, graders, road graders, to a desk, to copy paper and your phone systems. So, is there any questions?
Hi, Ginger. I'm Mike Johnson. I'm one of the town council. Are you willing to share a list of, let's just say, 3 to 5 of your clients that would be of similar size to our community, so we might get a better idea of the kind of savings, benefits they derive from your services?
So what I can do is I can send you a list of local government agencies in Indiana that use our contracts currently. If you need a person's name, let me know. We don't usually give that out, but for another agency we would. But you will likely see, other towns, other cities that you are well aware of. I do also want to mention that we're not just for super small cities, or what I like to say, that municipality that someone has a full-time job and the municipality is their extra job, and they purchase everything and they do all the road grading and all of those things, because we're very beneficial in that space, but we're also used by the state of New York, and they have 38 of our contracts, and they have a very large procurement team. So it is utilized at all levels and all sizes. And so just know that too, but I can send you that list so you have it. And if you need more information from that, please let me know. If you're looking at a specific vendor and you want to know not only who participates in Sourcewell, but who actually used a particular vendor in Indiana, I can do that too.
So to clarify, Ginger, you're not going to give us an actual contact person from another municipality?
I can to you, yes. So that's just going to take a little bit extra time to get that particular report. And so I can get you quickly the report that has the agencies that participate. And then if you want me to give you the contact for that, you just let me know. And then I can get that for you. We just don't typically give it out. I mean, again, it's public information in general, but we can get that for you. We don't give that to vendors, but we can give it for you.
Right.
So Ginger, about town council also. So it's a bit of oversimplification, but you're sort of a Costco for municipalities. How much does it cost for the Costco card?
Oh, actually, I didn't mention that, so thank you for bringing that up. So actually, it's free to use our contracts. So you can use us as much as you want or as little as you want, and it doesn't cost you anything. When you make a purchase, let's say you did purchase from Case, and you purchase that tractor, 1% comes from Case, and that comes from their profit back to Sourcewell. And so what Sourcewell does with that money is, of course, we're government, so we have to be very effective with our money. We have a building, I work from home, my salary, and then we partner with other organizations across the country. So National Institute of Governmental Purchasing, International Park and Rec, School Superintendents Association, Fleet Advisors, Western Fire Chiefs and International Fire Chiefs Association, are some of them in kind of this space. So we do partner with them. Some of them give away grants and scholarships and things like that because we aren't allowed to do that directly ourselves.
So from what I understand, so 1% of the price, and that 1% comes from the vendors. Is that what I heard? So.
Yes, you never have to tell Sourcewell that you made a purchase. The vendor actually reports that to us and pays us. So the manufacturer pays us a 1% administrative fee. It's an average of 1% administrative fee. And that actually goes down every single year. And so then we take that money and use it effectively because we are fully self-supporting government agency.
So kind of like on a credit card. And our credit cards get paid. Where the store that you buy from pays a percentage to the credit card company. Right.
Yes. So that, your credit card might say you get a discount for shopping here and the store pays that percentage. Yes, I guess I hadn't heard anyone suggest it like that, but yes, I would say it is similar to that. But it is not charged to you, which is just an extra benefit, right? Because the vendors are getting a benefit from having a contract with us. They don't have to respond to every bid or RFP. Now, can they? Absolutely. We don't tell them they can't. But it does save them time and money too by not responding. And as you know, sometimes RFPs or bids are many, many pages and very difficult to put together. And so it does benefit the vendors as well as it benefits our participating agencies.
And you are a Minnesota state agency. I understand
So
Minnesota-
we are technically a political subdivision of the state of Minnesota. So I would consider us a special district in Minnesota, but we were created by Minnesota state statute.
Okay, and because you get the 1% funding on all purchases, you're not costing the state of Minnesota money.
No, they give us about 2% of our total amount of money, and that money goes to our educational services, which is a whole separate department from our cooperative purchasing. So yes, we are self-supporting. We were actually formed as an educational service cooperative originally, and then they added and changed the statutes to allow us to do cooperative purchasing. And so we were originally formed to help out schools in our region, and then with statutes changing and all other states having, something similar to that joint powers law, we are allowed to do work outside of Minnesota, and that is how we are most successful. Any other questions? I went through a lot of information, so please don't feel like you have to hear it once and understand it. Reach out to me if you want me to go over something again, or if you have any specific questions on a particular vendor or product. I am here to help, so any or all of you can certainly reach out.
Do you have a cell phone or office number you can share with us just in case we need to call you?
Yep, so I don't know why I can't get to the chat. So I will put that. Oh, I don't have a chat. So I can tell you my office number, but I will follow up with an email, and then you can pass that around as well. So if you don't write it down now, that's fine, you will get it. But my office number is 218-894-5483. And then I will follow up with an email with that membership list and the statutes. And so reach out if you need anything. I'm definitely here to help. And yeah.
Well, we appreciate it very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you getting all together. It is good, and it brings about great conversation for how you want to handle this. And so, yeah, just let me know if you need anything, and we will all be in touch soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
All right, go home, guys.